From 2003 to 2012, personal diaries were collected from people who self-reported the amount of time that they slacked off at work as opposed to working when they should be. 3 economists have compiled this raw data over the past few years, and now they show us what they have found. Here is the graph featured in The Economist, and as you can see, the time wasted is broken up into percentages. It is titled Idle Hands. According to this graph, Hispanic men waste 8.5% of their time working as opposed to Hispanic women who waste about 7.75% of their time at work. Black men were found to waste 8% and black women 7.5%. Asian women waste 7.25% and Asian men 6.75% according to this graph. And finally on the bottom, you can see that white women and men are almost at the same percentage at 6.5% of their time wasted. Now that we've seen the information, let's take a look at the 3 economists that put together this study and try to see if they have any obvious biases that might have skewed this study. Daniel Hammermesh is a former professor at the University of Texas who resigned from the job in concerns of his own safety. He was worried that a student with a conceal and carry permit would present a direct threat to his safety. Here's a quote from an article from the Washington Times. With a huge group of students, my perception is that the risk that a disgruntled student might bring a gun into the classroom and start shooting at me has been substantially enhanced by the concealed carry law. Out of self-protection, I have chosen to spend part of next fall at the University of Sydney where, among other things, this risk seems lower. Hammermesh is concerned that a student who is willing to end his life shooting up a classroom will go through all of the trouble of getting a conceal and carry before his attack. If somebody cares enough to get a conceal and carry permit, they aren't going to immediately end their life after obtaining one. Hammermesh has worked decades as an economist, publishing works that delved into racial discrimination, social programs, among other things. With all of this in mind, I think it's fair to say that Hammermesh is no white nationalist. Next, we take a look at Michael Berta. There was much less information about Berta out there on the internet, but this is what I was able to find. Berta received his BA, MA, and PhD at Harvard University and is a fluent speaker of German. His research is primarily in macroeconomics, labor economics, and issues of European integration. In 2009, Michael Berta and Charles Wipslaws published the 5th edition of their textbook, Macroeconomics, a European Text, Oxford University Press, which was translated into 12 different languages. Also, he is regularly involved in meetings regarding the financial and monetary system. And finally, we get to Katie Janadek, the other economist, a person who I can only find on Twitter. There is not much about her that I can determine from her tweets, but she does listen to NPR apparently, which I think is a sign that she is at least left-leaning. I don't think she is a white nationalist either. And as you might imagine, this study has already smeared these economist names as racist. The final paragraph from the Economist article has this to say. Uncomfortable though this topic may be, the authors have attempted a rigorous analysis. Denunciations came quickly, however. Within hours of publication, Mr. Hammermesh received vitriolic messages and was labeled a racist in an online forum popular among economists. Mr. Hammermesh, an avowed progressive, who refers to Donald Trump only by amusing nicknames and resigned from a post at the University of Texas over a state law permitting the open carrying of firearms, finds this unfair. He notes that Americans work too much, and his preferred solution would not be for some groups to work more, but for others to work less. It seems that most people are angry at the data itself, rather than the actions that led to the data. Why is it that some people work less? Perhaps we should figure out why these things are the case, instead of being angry that these harmful facts exist. These same people should be looking to why these things are the case, instead of being angry that the data is what it is. They should instead look at what might incentivize people to not work while at their job. Keep in mind that this is all self-reported, and there could be a large room for error, but I cannot see why any of these subjects of this study would have any reason to lie.